Hello, welcome back to another segment in excerpts from A Spiritual Ascension. So today I wanted to talk about your intuition. I know I'll probably speak about this a lot throughout throughout my videos. Um, Different topics. I may repeat some things, but I was thinking today because something kind of happened to me, and there will be times when I always say spirit's being really quiet right now. Like I don't like nothing's coming in. Um, I'm seeking answers. I'm not receiving any answers. It's kind of just like this quiet period. And I always know that after a quiet period, then all of a sudden it's kind of like it's quiet for me, I should say, but behind the scenes, spirit is it's working behind the scenes to bring in whatever's next for you. So, um, for me, for the last week or so, things have been very quiet. Also, spirit will take things out of your life at a particular time so that you can hear better. Some of you may be clairvoyant or clairaudient or clairsentient or claircognizant. I'm clairsentient and clairaudient. So I hear spirit and I also can feel. Um, I'll talk about clairaudient in another video because I think that's pretty significant what people think, what does that mean to actually hear spirit? But anyway, getting back to spirit being very quiet. And over the past week or so, for me, spirit was very quiet. So I knew something was coming in. I can feel that. Okay. So with being clairsentient, I can feel energy. I can feel when things are going to happen. I also can feel things in objects to know like who's the energy as far as who's owned it before, things about that person, things like that. There's a name for that, but I can't think of it right now. um, anyway, in the beginning of your journey, okay, if you're not already have psychic abilities, as you're building your abilities, your intuition, spirit will be subtle at first. And there's two reasons for this. For me, the first reason is that spirit want is training you to be able to listen to your intuition. Okay. So you may have to try, what is it, kind of like test it at times or understand how spirit sends you messages because we're all different. Okay. So your language with spirit is going to be different than my language with spirit. So spirit's going to kind of send you subtle tech test in order to kind of start for you to understand how spirit communicates with you. Okay. The other reason I say was for you to, I thought about, I know I'm jumping all over the place here. In school, there's that like comprehensive reading class where you're reading to actually not just read words, but to actually comprehend what you're reading. It's kind of like that. So you're getting information, okay? Anyone could like receive words, but now comprehending what the words mean. Okay, so spirit could also send you signs. You can see numbers, all different things. But what do those things mean to you? I'll give you an example. From the time 5 years ago, as my journey started, there was a there was an instance where I had a very close encounter with a deer, with a mother deer and her fawn, right, with a baby fawn. think, right? Deer, doe. I have doe with a fawn, right? Okay. I need to do my animal history. Uh, anyway, um, where the deer actually, like usually when you see a deer, they run away, you know. They see you, you try to approach them, they run away. This deer actually, um, I was on a pathway, in a very small pathway, and she came up and she kind of stood still and observed me. And she needed to pass me, and I needed to pass her. And I said, okay, let me just be still. So I was very still, and she kind of was watching me very closely. And then she did pass by along with her, I'm going to say baby deer. And the baby deer, after she saw me, she kind of like bucked and just ran. But the mother deer slowly walked by, but she was watching me the whole time. That was my first close encounter with deer. So you may have an animal spirit that becomes very significant to you also. For me, that became a sign of movement, that spirit was about to move me in some way. This kept happening whenever I would have an encounter with a deer or see a deer later on, within a few weeks or whatever, I was moved again. Um, so now I know whenever I see a deer, it's going to mean that there's going to be movement for me soon. And that could be in any form. It could be physically, it could be me moving on to either another place or another circumstance, another relationship, whatever it may be. Usually it was movement to another place at that time. Um, I know I just saw a deer not so long ago, so I know some kind of movement is about to happen in my life. And as I said, Spirit's been very quiet for me over the last week or so. And now all of a sudden, Spirit got very loud. And that's part of this lesson too for you is, like I say, in the beginning, Spirit's going to be very subtle because it's teaching you how to listen, how to read the signs that Spirit is giving to you. After you learn to read those signs, you're going to know. So then the signs or communication from Spirit, from the divine or God, however you call your higher power, is going to be kind of a blast, like, okay, boom, I'm here, type of thing. And you're going to know, okay, that means a movement. So in the beginning, it's going to be subtle. You're going to have to really, and that's why I always tell all of my clients to journal, because journaling helps you to remember things for later on. I've journaled for years and years, and there will be times months later, and I'm like, I remember writing that down before. And that's because just for some reason, writing something down kind of, to me, takes it out of the mind and puts it on paper, whereas there's a reference for you later on. So, no, I wasn't making that up. I know that, and Spirit's going to talk to you too by the words that you write down. Okay. Um, so that was a little bit on intuition. I'm sure I'll talk more on it later on. Um, but again, 2 points on intuition. Um, Not that I want to, Spirit's training you of how to communicate, what your communication patterns will be with Spirit. And in two, in learning not only the words or the communication or the signs, but now how to comprehend what's being given to you. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. If you would like to spend time with me, talk about your journey, there's a link below to book time with me. Also, I've done several courses on the Ascension journey, and that link is also below. Okay. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.